what it was that I'd done wrong. Why was I walking around all over the place? Well, because of the freedom. I mean, I couldn't answer him when he asked me that question. Why am I carrying my bags and walking all over the place? Um, in in 2018. I started out from Paris, and I went to uh, Frankfurt because I was thinking of Jurgen, because Jurgen was from Frankfurt am Main, and uh, uh, he was a good person. I really thought of all the good things that he'd been for me in my life, and that's why I learned German. I mean, we didn't have. I mean, he had a girlfriend, and I didn't. I wasn't really interested in or attracted at all. But I thought, wow, this man is going off to Africa, and he's getting a job there, and so much. I've written about him in my book. It was inspiring, and so that's why I went to Frankfurt, and then I was roaming around in Frankfurt, and I thought, oh, this place, it gives me a good feeling, and then the miracle happened, and the woman in this Laden, she said, okay, I see you're a painter, you can have an exhibition in their Laden, and I did an exhibition there, and I stayed with a woman called Susanna, who was a beautiful blonde, and she had several children. She had 2 children by then, and Pascal was sending me money, my allowance, and that was good. And then so I could live with that. I could go to youth hostels with that. I mean, Frankfurt am Main was very inspiring. I wanted to be part of that city. But it was difficult, I mean, if you don't have money, and you don't have, and you have to carry your stuff around, I mean, I did get a room in a youth hostel, and I mean, several times. A lot of the time, I was staying there. I was staying in a youth hostel, but it was just out of control. I ended up staying in a tent in the countryside. I also met some women in the Frauenkirche. But the Frauenkirche, I mean, it was a very nice place for women, but I mean, there was a discrimination about who was homosexual and who wasn't. I thought that was not a good thing, and of course, I didn't, I didn't want to be part of that. Well, the thing is that now this is Brian's telephone number. I've never called him. This is in 2020. My ID got stolen in Paris. At Adzak Musée, and I know it was Margaret's people. I think the black people who work for her, who sort of are protective towards her, and that man from Ghana who is the devil incarnate. They took my ID from my bag because they wanted money from me as usual. I don't, they were after my allowance, and so now I have no ID, and the French are probably happy that that happened, because they told me that if the second time it was lost, then they wouldn't give me another one, the residence card that I had. But they should be giving me a French passport, but which I haven't tried to get a French passport, because I don't want a French passport anyway. I mean, it's such hard work. I so anyway, this was in the in January. They started to talk about coronavirus in 2020, and this was just at the time where China was talking about the Road and Belt project of building stuff, in all the countries, all the underdeveloped countries in Asia and elsewhere, and in this thing started out from Wuhan, by in the wet market where they were selling bats, and it was an illness that started out as something really not understood well, and then it started to get out of hand. But you could always say that it started in China, and that would mean that the Chinese would finally lose face, even after they tried so hard in the Olympics to be on top of everything and to achieve what they achieved, which was enormous. But obviously, the imperialists are not going to get, are not going to give you a chance. It's not easy for a